Well, first up this evening, one person's been reported dead and some injured, according to the latest reports that's coming in from the traditional Jallikattu events in Tamil Nadu, which began with the first one in Madurai's Aavaniyapuram area today. Remember, this happened earlier in the day. The loss of life could not be averted despite safety precautions at the event, which had over 1,100 bulls and 800 bull tamers entering that brutal but intensely emotive traditional contest. While there have been emotive arguments for and against the Jallikattu, it's an important event in Tamil Nadu's Pongal celebrations. While the event at Madurai's Aavaniyapuram is the first one off the block, the bigger and the more celebrated ones are at Paramedu, which is tomorrow, and Alanganallur, which is the big one that's to be held day after tomorrow. Remember, in Tamil Nadu, tomorrow is Mattu Pongal, or the day to celebrate cattle in the state as part of the festivities. Of course, Pongal celebrations each year marked by Jallikattu events in and around Madurai and in southern Tamil Nadu. Hugely attended events with enormous emotive connect to the population there. Joining me now is NDTV's Sam Daniels. Sam, take us through what precautions were taken, what the incidents were at Aavaniyapuram, and what this shows for the bigger events tomorrow and day after.
Viraraku, as far as the Aavaniyapuram Jallikattu that began today is concerned, one person has been gored to death by a bull. He was rushed to the hospital, put in the ICU, but he could not be saved. We understand another person also is in the ICU, and at least 15 other spectators and bull tamers have suffered injuries, but they are out of danger. In terms of the arrangements, authorities say, as given by the Supreme Court, double barricading is in place to make sure the bulls do not target the spectators. They're also, unlike a decade ago, now they release the bull tamers in batches of 20 or 25 together, not as more than 100 together at a time. This way they make sure they're not exposed to danger. But when bulls decide to charge these bull tamers, nothing can be done. And this is another example of that kind of a tragedy, or a possibility for that kind of a tragedy. And the government will announce a compensation soon. And as directed by the court, every such organizers of this Jallikattu event ought to deposit or go for a bulk insurance to take care of the family compensation in case of loss of lives or maimed. So far, several hundred people have been killed and maimed, but over the last few years, that kind of a high number is not witnessed. But since still, Jallikattu continues to be a risky thing. And today is the beginning. Tomorrow, as you said, it will be at Paramedu in Madurai rural area. And the day after would be the grand finale, Kanum Pongal, and the bigger Jallikattu at the Alanganallur arena would be on that day. And it's been an argument between animal rights activists in terms of the cruelty these animals are subjected to, in terms of torture, in terms of intoxication, in terms of several forms of violence. But again, authorities say these have come down drastically now that a team of doctors, a team of officials screen every bull that is brought in, and they are scrutinized to make sure they are not intoxicated. And bull tamers too have come under a close watch to make sure not many of them would cling on a bull's hump together, or incidents like pulling their tail or squeezing lemon into the eyes have been drastically come down. But lastly, this is still a season of trauma and torture for these bulls, as they will be now taken to different parts of the state for Jallikattu events, which have become a huge money spinner, going beyond the ancient traditional significance attached to it.
Right, Sam Daniel, obviously you've covered many of those events. We'll keep a close watch of both the spectacular pictures that come from those traditional events, as well as the strong arguments for and against them. But now